Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. This is F1 2018, and this is week 48 of the Gaming Decathlon competition. We're still here in season number 1, but we are winding down as we are at the USA Grand Prix here in Austin, Texas. Two new parts onto the car, weight redistribution for the hydraulics, and a weight reduction for the monocoque structure. We're going to be heading to USA for this one, and with those two new upgrades onto the car, we're going to go ahead and see that our chassis is now better than any other part on the car. We've now overtaken our engine. The two new upgrades here, the monocoque structure and the hydraulics, have jumped us up the grid up to 4th best. We are now best of the rest outside of the big 3 teams, and we're going to keep on working on upgrades. Speaking of, here is a fuel tank positioning, weight redistribution major upgrade that's going to actually take 3 weeks. Be ready just in time for the final race of the season. Oh, and that's also the end. We now see, not in the middle, we don't, but we now see the end of the tree. There's another major upgrade for the calipers. A brake upgrade. There's another on the cylinder. This is all tire wear related. We haven't done any of those upgrades yet. These are brakes. This is brakes. And a few more weight reductions, huh? Now these are going to be done sooner. Maybe I should actually go with the sooner ones, because this isn't going to be done till the end of the season. I can wait till the end of the season to do that, and it'll be done before we start season 2 in Australia. And at $870, it's not going to cost a whole lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the other two. So lightweight wheel rims, done next week in Mexico. And then the roll dampers. So we're finally going to do a tire wear upgrade, a minor one. This will still keep us behind the Red Bull. But with both of these upgrades, you can see just how close we get to the big 3 in the chassis department, with a few races to go in season 1 from dead last. I still have 617 points left. What we're going to be doing next, other than continuing on with that chassis department, is the wind tunnel quality control. This will prevent us from ever having issues with parts failing and having to spend additional R&D points on them. And if you are halfway down, that's going to cost you a lot more points than if you just spend it in the first place. And yes, it means I got to wait on aero upgrades till season 2 to ever getting involved in it. But for one thing, and lucky for me, this is the department that is going to have a reset entering season 2. But the quality control and the department efficiency, not affected by that. So let's go ahead and do an upgrade here. 500 points. Instant. So that uses what we had. And then there are 4 left to go. And that's going to cost us another 3,000 to get those final 4 done before we can start our aero upgrades early next season. Alright, so like I said before, our chassis department has now overtaken the powertrain with those 12 completed upgrades and none in the powertrain department. So We started with that good Mercedes engine here in the Williams, but everything else really, really off this season. But at least chassis has come along now. And that brings us above Toro Rosso now. We've closed up a little bit on Sauber, even though they had some upgrades as well. McLaren didn't gain anything, so we're a bit closer to them. Will make us a little more competitive, have a little easier time with Van Dorn. Alonso, of course, is a bit beyond Van Dorn, but it does bring us a bit closer. We saw the biggest improvement this week of anyone in the field. Alright, coming up towards the end of my first lap here in Q1, and it hasn't been the cleanest lap ever, but it's been a pretty good lap. .6 off of the current pole position at the end of that lap there, so we'll head back to the garage and see where we're at. As I make it back to the garage, I am in P7, and there are still couple drivers left, the Red Bulls, that have not put in a time, but otherwise I'm actually inside the top 10 right now as Verstappen now crosses the line, dropping to me to P8. I'll probably drop at least that one more spot, but through one lap I'm inside the top 10, only just, but that should be enough to get us out. Let's see, P15 right now. Let's say Ricardo moves up, so 135.96. I'm about 4/10 clear right now, which is not that big of a cushion. So 4/10, I feel like I should probably go out for one more lap. Trying to keep an eye on some of the back markers, and it looks like they are not putting in better times at this point, as they've already crossed. So I think I'm okay. I'm not going to go out. I'm going to take the risk that I've done enough to get to Q2. Save that set of tires just in case. P12 here in the final minute. Yeah, a lot of guys crossing the line still behind me, so I think I've done enough here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Time was already up. They were not on hot... Ooh, that was close. All right. So the gap ended up staying about the same with those guys, about 1.9 back. The ones that were in the group in between me improved their times, but I do enough in P15 to get out of the first qualifying session. My teammate Sergei Sorokin down in last place, just behind the Toro Rosso of Brendan Hartley. Marcus Ericsson, Pierre Gasly, and Stoffel Van Dorn out in Q1. I move on to Q2 with Raikkonen and Vettel on top. Alright, so here in Q2, first lap out, I'm doing a really good job this time. This is a much cleaner lap than what I had in Q1, though I get a bit of oversteer there. That cost me at least 1/10 of a second. And a bit wide there. That's going to knock that time down a bit. Oh, and wide on the final turn as well. P5 at the moment, but only a few cars have actually finished their lap, so I think that might go right to the back, especially if I was P15 after the first qualifying session. I'm going to take this rhythm section and see how I'm doing comparative to my last time, and we might go hot for 2. Come out of there almost 2/10 of a second up on my first lap time. Now that actually still wasn't very clean. That was the last one was cleaner, but it was slower. Still right on par with my last time. and actually dropping back a little bit as I got a little bit of a bad exit. Alright, so I've run 2 laps so far. The second lap ended up 9/100ths of a second slower. So I almost beat the time, but not quite. Lewis Hamilton is about to finish his first lap, so that should have me in P10 unless he messes up his lap pretty bad. That's not going to be enough to get through at this point, though. It's really tight to everyone other than Leclerc. So at this point, I would imagine I'm going to be P14. Maybe P13 if somebody messes up their next lap out. So I will definitely need to go out again. We've got 6 minutes left in the session. I do have a fresh set of tires. Hamilton does go P4, so I'm in P10 currently with Vettel on top. So I'm going to go forward another 2 minutes, and then we'll head back onto the track for one more go. See if we can improve this time. And possibly got a chance to get out of Q2. Going around for the end here. I've got 0.4 of a second up on my time before I'm P13. I don't know, did I improve my time enough? 10th place! 10th place, alright. So I improved just enough there to get into Q3 with a 10th place performance. And Max Verstappen is the one I knock out who tried to go through on super soft tires and does not make it. Alright, so we ride on board here in the final sector of our first lap out in Q3. It's been a pretty decent one so far. Final corner. Where are we going to be? P8 at the moment. 1.1 seconds off the pace, though, so that's much better than where I was through the first 2. And this was a used set, also. This was a Q1 set that I used of Ultra Softs. And I have 1 set of tires left, so I will be able to get another run in. And so I'm going to head back to the garage. So by the time I make it back to the garage, I've already slipped to P10. I am just 3/100ths of a second behind Esteban Ocon. Grosjean not much further ahead, and Carlos Sainz are all pretty close. Bottas was a bit slow on his lap, but I have a feeling he'll improve that. So that best of the rest ranking is just 0.4 of a second separating the 4 of us. So I've got one more shot, 1 set of fresh tires, and I'll head back onto the track now while it is clear. So my second run during Q3, as I was going along and starting my hot lap, Hülkenberg came out right in front of me, and it took about 4 corners before he actually got out of the way and let me by. And then I came up on Grosjean, and he was able to get out of the way on the straight, so he didn't affect me too much. But that continuation of traffic throughout just it made it difficult. I hadn't really run in traffic very much during practice, so I struggled and ended up a good half a second off the pace as I came towards the end of the lap, and just ended up getting out of the way as all those cars were getting their hot laps started. So no improvement to my time, and pretty much everybody else did improve. So you can see I was quite a bit behind Ocon, Hülkenberg, Grosjean, and Sainz in the end. And of course the big 6, led by Hamilton on pole with Raikkonen and Vettel, rounding out the top 3.
What fantastic enthusiasm we have for Formula One here in the United States of America. And it's an enthusiasm born from generations of memorable Grand Prix racing. Bruce McLaren took his maiden victory at Sebring way back in 1959, and John Watson's 1983 victory at Long Beach, well, that still holds the record for the lowest ever starting position for a race winner. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6-mile track. And we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and starting alongside him P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hülkenberg, the Professor, and Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Alonso and Carlos Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Hartley, Ocon, Sergei Sirotkin and Verstappen, Grosjean, Leclerc, Stoffel Van Dorn and Sergio Perez. Gasly and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
What just happened? P5? Are you kidding me? I'm starting from P5. There are grid penalties all up and down the starting grid. Even my teammate went from last up to P13. Wow. Alright, well, since I did get into Q3, I am stuck on the tires I've got, so there's not going to be much editing to do here, mostly just to see how many laps we can get. It looks like I can get 6 laps out of them without affecting the time. That'll make it a little easier on the Super Softs, as I'll only need to go 8 laps on those. So we'll stretch this by a little bit. So we're going to be on the Ultra Softs for 6, Super Softs for 8. At least that's the expectation. Being that I'm already in the front, I will not be looking to pass anyone, and I expect that they'll be getting past me. So the main thing is that I'm going to be looking to just maintain, keep it clean, and as cars go by me, hopefully none of them turn me around, as I will surely be holding some cars up in this one, starting as high as I am. Got a half a lap worth of spare fuel. And I think that's just fine. So with that, we are on the inside of row number 3. Wow. Definitely didn't have that much space in the car. But with all those grid penalties, all those fast cars are going to be behind me in this one. And with that, we are in Austin for the USA Grand Prix. This is my home race, but it's also a tough one for me that I've gotten a lot better at here since the start of the race weekend. Sector 1 was a difficult one, but doing all right. However, as I noticed in qualifying, I don't run in traffic terribly well here, so I'm going to be looking for some clean air as soon as I can get it. I know those front 4 will be pulling away from me right away, but the trick is I'm going to have a lot of cars coming up behind me, so I'll be checking those mirrors a lot, and probably going to let some of these guys go. We've got a lot of space on the run up to turn 1 here, up the top of the hill. My objective is to not get taken out initially, and it looks like from the setup here, there are actually cars to the inside. So even though I've got the preferred line here is the outside, which actually does set you up for the inside of turn 2, which is not such a bad thing. So I'll be hoping for a good start and a clean start. With the Mercedes in front of me, I shouldn't have too much of a problem not getting into his gearbox, but we'll see. I've only got 2 flashbacks at my disposal for the first race, and as I have found all season long, anytime that I have to burn one on lap number 1 tends to make for a really bad day. But with that, we're going to put 5 lights up and we're going to go racing. Alright, good start, very little wheel spin. And I got Hülkenberg to the inside here, Hamilton on the outside, and I've got a clean start. I get to the inside of Hülkenberg here. I'm going to let him go through though. I'm through the first rhythm section. So far so good. Still in P5. Nothing gained, nothing lost. And no damage either, that's the big thing. A little oversteer coming out of there for the straight. That is going to hurt my pace just a little, but no DRS here on lap number 1. It's Ricardo behind me. I had to go a little wide there as I was afraid I was going to get into the gearbox at Hulkenberg, so... Woo! Oh, massive problem there. Ran really wide on that as started braking a little bit late. So Ricardo gets through. That drops me to P6, and I'm having all sorts of clean air issues where it's real difficult through there that I was really losing it. It's Carlos Sainz behind me now. He's still got more pace than I do, so if he gets up on me, I will not fight it. As I really feel my fight is with the midfield.
Try to keep your number of shifts to a minimum. Transmission is significantly damaged. No. We're down a gear.
I lost second gear. I've lost second gear. Are you kidding me? My gearbox is not in bad shape. I entered the weekend with it at 63%. This is the last race. This is the 6th race that I used that gearbox. So it is the final race for this gearbox. But considering that it's the final race, it was in really good shape. Well, it's only second gear. So hopefully I can get by without too many problems and it won't affect us.
Right, we've looked at the gearbox issue, but I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. Try and drive around it, we'll just have to hope for the best. Remember that you have a lot of torque in these power units, so you should be able to stay in higher gears for a lot of the lap. Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available.
Alright. I think Sainz and possibly Magnussen are going to get past me this time. I've got second gear back now, but they're going to have DRS. I'm clearly not going to have DRS. Ooh, I actually opened it up coming out of that turn, and here they come. For now, I'm still ahead. Through 3 laps, or at least as I come towards the end of lap number 3, I remain in P6. This is an excellent start to the race. No flashbacks used either. But these tires are falling off a lot faster than I would expect. I am having a bit of trouble with some oversteer in a lot of corners. I've still got 2 laps to go on them. I could technically pit a little bit early if I needed to, but then that could compromise the end of the race for me with these super softs. So if I can, I will get these tires to last. Alright, I've got now 3 cars very close behind me. This is probably the lap where things are going to not go well for me, as they've all got the DRS.
2 cars at once. Very well done.
Yeah, I didn't pass anybody. Yep, here goes Sainz. Ooh. Is he going to make it stick? He's still to my inside. There we go. I gave him the room. Finish the pass. And that's P7.
Engines showing small signs of wear. Power output will be down.
Okay, 1.2 seconds already behind, so that hurts as I end up not getting DRS on that lap. As I'm still pretty close to Sainz, but he's pulled away a little bit, and just enough to get out of the DRS zone. One lap away from my pit, and I would imagine a lot of cars are going to pit this lap. It's Raikkonen who's behind me now. Raikkonen has gotten around Magnussen, so he's that car, the other car who came up on us. And here goes Raikkonen. Nothing I can do to stop him. Ooh. It's like he's... Looks like he, what do you call it? Locked up a little bit there. Because there was definitely some smoke coming through. Alright, like I said, I expect a number of cars to pit this lap. I'm going to go one more. And both cars in front of me, Sainz and Raikkonen, neither of them go. And behind me, Magnussen stays out as well. So all three of us going around again. And here goes Magnussen now. Still side by side with Magnussen, but he makes it stick through there. Through the exit, he had better grip than I did. I think I should be in range for DRS this time. Yes, I am picking up DRS this time. It's Alonso behind me. Only a couple cars have pit so far.
Reduce ERS deployment.
Alright, so this is my lap to head into the pits here. Should be good. I just don't think I'll have lost any time on that pit entrance.
Sergey is in the pits. Sergey in the pits.
Sorokin also into the pits. Woo! I just ghosted a car. That was weird. P14 at the moment.
Look after these tires now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
And I come out still in P14, so P14 at the moment, but it is Raikkonen who's still just in front of me, and I don't seem to be much further behind than I was after he passed, so I don't think I've really lost any time, which means I should still be more or less somewhere right around P9, which was the equivalent, the virtual position that I was running in. Okay, so Ericsson is now behind, and there you go. With all the other cars pitting, I am up to P9 at the moment. I don't know if that's everyone, but Magnussen is in front of me. So Magnussen has gone in front. And there's caution. Caution here in the area. I can't pass. What just happened? Is it Magnussen that's out? I didn't get in trouble for passing him. It is. It's Magnussen is out, and I slowed down massively. That just cost me a lot of time. Here comes Verstappen. Planning on letting him go. Slot in behind him. He would have caught me anyway. But I was nervous about passing Magnussen and getting a penalty. And it ended up being Magnussen who was out of the race, even though there was no sign of a problem. So Alonso has caught back up now after that mistake on my part. It's reading the situation. But with Verstappen, who started way back in, I think it was P16 after I knocked him out in Q1, stealing the last spot at the last second on him. Need a good lap here to get away a bit. A little bit of oversteer there. Not the best run out of that corner. And I'm more than a second behind Verstappen, I expect anyway. And yes, no DRS here. But Alonso is close. I'm going to go into overtake. I do not want him to overtake me here. Alright, I think I'm safe now. Turn it back down.
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
I got a little bit of spare fuel, but it's only a little. And I seem to be holding right about a quarter of a lap. Ooh. Caught a little sausage there and caused me to get a bit wide. Alright, Alonso and Grosjean behind. I do not want either of them, so up to overtake mode. So far I'm keeping them at bay. Those are the guys that I'm racing. I think where I'm at right now, P9, I've got a decent chance of hanging on to it here through the rest of this race. If I can string one really good lap together, I think I could pull back away from these guys. And there's a little bit of a gap. That was a good section. First sector used to be really difficult for me back in F1 2017, but I'm much better at the game than I was back then. Those rhythm sections are particularly hard on a gamepad versus a wheel.
The gap to the car ahead is 2.0 seconds.
The fact that I've remained relatively close to Verstappen, the Red Bull, the faster Red Bull in real life this season, at least second half of the season. But poor Ricardo, guy can't hardly finish a race these days, and it's not crashing out, it's the car crapping out. Alonso, I don't think he's going to have enough to get a run on me here. Can't believe he's just staying within that 1 second. And that DRS keeps him closing up on me. I tried to turn down the ERS right before I started the rhythm section. Overshot the first corner slightly because of it, and didn't get it turned down.
It's causing your gearbox to take increased wear. There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
Alright, I think I'm good this lap. So far, so good. Holding off Alonso. At the moment, he's half a second behind. Bit wide on that turn. That's going to cost me a little time. Oh, and a bit wide there as well. There goes Alonso. Oh! And I've got damage. I'm going to use flashback. I don't want that damage. Oh, gosh. Okay, we're going to go right from here. Alonso actually just hit me in the gearbox.
Our gap to first place is 30.5 seconds.
Uh-oh.
You've lost access to one of the gears. You've lost one of the gears due to a
Oh,
fault.
gosh. Here goes one of the gears again. As I just went through my worst Sector 1 of the race. But actually, I didn't lose a lot of time, luckily. And I've pulled away. I have pulled away from Alonso. Grosjean has overtaken Alonso. Alonso had a terrible exit there. And hopefully this gap, and I'm going to run hard here for a little bit because I want to open this gap up. 1.2 to Grosjean. Grosjean is not in DRS range. That is what it's going to take to get away from those guys. Starting to get a lot of oversteer, which I think has a lot to do with the tires. State of my tires is getting noticeably worn. My first tire upgrade should be coming next week in Mexico, which is a good time for that. If you watch the Mexico race in real life, tires were an absolute mess. Grosjean behind me in P10. He's 0.7 of a second down. Bit of oversteer there again, but snapped out of it right at the right spot. Alright, we head to the straight. Grosjean is close, but I've got a little bit of spare fuel. We're going to burn it now. There we go. Don't want to burn too much. We stay in overtake mode is enough to stay ahead, so there you go. Race winner is Lewis Hamilton. Final time through Sector 3 here. And there we go. Solid finish. It was tight at the end, but I hang on for 9th place. Outstanding finish, outstanding race. Clean throughout.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
So Hamilton 1, Bottas 2, and Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari in P3.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. It's a good result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
Well, after a drive like that, it's got to be Max Verstappen, hasn't it? Very clean, very smooth. He can be really pleased with that one.
On to the constructors then. Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
So I finished 20 seconds ahead of my teammate, so that's definitely a good race. My fastest lap was nearly 2 seconds better than his on the day. Marcus Ericsson even finishes ahead of him from last place. And that is largely due to our aero package. We are still very low on aero, so for me to pull that time, relying on chassis and engine alone, was a really solid result. Yes, I started 5th, but that's not where I qualified. I qualified 10th, so finishing in P9 was a very good result. In the end, I end up 6 seconds behind Max Verstappen, but for the most part, kept pace with him for a lot of laps there. I think that was a good 8 laps that I was, or 7.5 laps that I was right behind Max Verstappen, and so in 7.5 laps, I lost 6 seconds is all. So somewhere right around, a second a lap behind Max Verstappen is not bad at all. Not bad at all. So good result. Outside of the big 6, the 2 Renaults were the only ones ahead of me, and then I end up in P9. So standings, with those 2 additional points, I remain in P13, 4 points now ahead of Kevin Magnussen. I still have a feeling that there's a good chance that he will overtake me in the standings before the end of the season, especially as I will now add 2 more points to the AI difficulty. Each time that I do that, it gets tougher and tougher, but the car has steadily improved this season. But as I won't be seeing any upgrades outside of the chassis the rest of this season, I don't think there's going to be any fireworks coming from me the rest of the way. A couple points maybe still in the bag at some point, but I am also getting dangerously close to 90 on the AI difficulty level, which will restrict me to just 1 flashback per race, which is what I use this time at least. Mercedes now 100 points ahead of Ferrari. With 3 races to go, they've just about got the constructors wrapped up. Red Bull, of course, in 3rd. Renault, best of the rest, well ahead of Force India, who are only 2 points ahead of Haas. In that Drivers' Championship, it is now Lewis Hamilton, 9 points ahead of his teammate, Valtteri Bottas. Remember, Hamilton was well down in the driver standings this season, so for him to be on top now is a pretty big accomplishment. I believe Hamilton was like P5 or P4 in the Drivers' Championship for quite a while, so he's come from well behind to get to where he is now. Vettel now 48 points back. Mexico could be enough for Hamilton to mathematically rule out Vettel's chance at a championship, which is what happened in real life, but Bottas was nowhere near these 2 drivers in the overall standings. And of course, Lewis Hamilton just won his 5th Drivers' Championship at Mexico, which is where we head in the next race, in the next episode. So hopefully I can make something happen, as I've done pretty well at Mexico in the past, in F1 2017 anyway. I had a pretty good run at the Mexican Grand Prix in Mexico City. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my road to the record. Bye for now.